Good morning. You're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie Laurel. It's the start of a new trading day. Let's go straight to our banner story. The recent spike in new COVID-19 infections may lead to a shallower recovery for the Philippines in the second half of the year. That is according to the International Monetary Fund, which says that while the country is now coming out of a steep GDP slump last year, renewed concerns about caseloads and the spread of the virus may cause a shallow recovery in the last 6 months of 2021. The IMF says the country needs to fast track its vaccine rollout to pave the way for a stronger rebound and recovery, the Philippine Star reports. The multilateral lender earlier slashed its full year forecast for the Philippines to 3.2% from the 5.4% outlook it penciled in June. Now, oil companies are implementing yet another round of big time price hikes. This was this morning. Caltex, Clean Fuel, Petrogas, PTT Philippines Sea Oil, and Shell will raise gasoline prices by 1 peso and 80 centavos per liter. Diesel prices will also go up by 1 peso and 50 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, Caltex Sea Oil and Shell will also hike kerosene prices by 1 peso and 30 centavos per liter. This is the 8th straight week of rising pump prices and the third week that prices have gone up by more than a peso per liter, and drivers have been bearing the brunt of soaring pump prices. That's why transport groups are now calling for an increase in fare rates. But the Transport Department and the LTFRB are pushing for cash aid for drivers instead, noting that the government should balance the welfare of the drivers and the limited resources of passengers during this pandemic. Well, inflation and oil is still the big story here, rocking markets. And you can see on my terminal here the U.S. Treasury yields here. And markets are grappling with the possibility of earlier than expected interest rate hikes to quell all of these inflation price pressures, which of course are stemming not just from the oil story here, which we did mention, but also just the opening up of the global economy. But you also see our own yield curve here. We are of course at a record low when it comes to interest rates here in the Philippines, and the governor of the Bangko Sentral, Ben Diokno, says he sees no Philippines key rate adjustment this year. Let's take a look at our opening for the bourse. We are jumping up by 0.5%. That is at 7256.25 this morning. So we've been on quite an upward trend since at least the middle of August. Of course, this as the economy has slowly regained its footing. And one specific sector to be watching out for here are our electronics sectors here. And we have several of these stocks, that are listed. We haven't really gone in depth into them. You've got IMI, you've got Certex, you've got SFA, Semicon, even Ionics and Solid Group. And this according to IHS Market, they are looking at global demand for electronics products having a strong rebound following, of course, a slump that we've seen last year. And the Philippines is expected to be benefiting from such a recovery. Of course, this is our top exports. 60% of the total exports are electronics, and that was up 18% just in the month of August. Around $3.7 billion worth of electronics have been exported in August. Now, what is IHS Market saying? They're saying that the pandemic, of course, accelerated all of this digital transformation because everyone has been working remotely. And that has led to a boost in demand for electronic devices, computers, mobile phones. And of course, we are chip makers and semiconductor makers, and that has boded well for us. And another thing, of course, apart from the fact that we are working more remotely, we have more money to spend this year compared to last year with all of the easing of restrictions, more jobs being created, and so more consumer spending there, leading to more purchases in such electronic products. And at the intersection, of course, of energy and technology, we have AC Energy to watch out for this morning. That is jumping already by 3.15% to 11 pesos and 14 centavos. This, as they said, that their joint venture in Vietnam will be developing a battery energy storage system that will be receiving funding from the U.S. consulate. They said that the U.S. consulate in Ho Chi Minh provided close to $3 million grants to help this renewable energy project. They currently have 6 power projects in Vietnam, with some still under construction. Here here are the other headlines. We're keeping our eyes on the Philippines will require investment of 5.76 trillion pesos to expand power supply and allow renewables to make up a larger part of the power mix by 2040. That is according to the Energy Department's latest Philippine Energy Plan. The DOE said the total investment cost will help the country reach its targets under the clean energy scenario. And this indicates the entry of more RE-based technologies with a total capacity addition of about 92 gigawatts after 3 decades. Now, under the CES, the country is expected to achieve a 35% RE share in power generation by 2030 and 50% by 2040. The updated PEP is the second comprehensive energy blueprint, which is compliant with the government's long-term plan known as the Ambisyon Natin 2040. Now, Landbank has issued 10.4 billion pesos, that's about $205 million in retail dollar bonds to bolster the government's pandemic response. That is nearly 13% of the $1.6 billion in RDBs raised by the government from September 15th until October 1st. The lender said $95 million worth of its RDBs were sold during the price setting on September 15, and that accounts for more than 10% of the aggregate $866 million maiden sale. Now, the past year and a half has reminded us of what is essential, but consumers are bracing for continued price rises in basic goods and services. And here to help us with what to expect, we have with us Stephen Kua. He is the president of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association. Good morning, Sir Stephen, and welcome.
Hi, Danny. Morning.
Sir, a general step back here. Of course, we've been to supermarkets. As of late, that's mainly the only place that most people have been going to. Kamusta ang prices ng mga bilihin now compared to last year at the height of the pandemic, with all of these, of course, supply chain issues, with all of these ASF issues in terms of pork, with the importation of rice. Has it gotten more expensive? Has the inflation gone lower?
Well, price adjustments are management decisions, no? So, manufacturers are trying to prepare, no? And trying to read how consumers will behave, how, consumer spending will go this Christmas. So I guess some have already increased their prices, no, along the way. If you want to know what they are, well, some of them are since September, and this October, condiments, no? Kailangan yan for Christmas, no? So they've gone up 8%. No? But again, this is not across the board, and this is not for all types, all brands, and all sizes. No, but some have increased by 4 to 8%. Cooking mix, no, panghalo, pang frying, no, some have gone up 10 to 12%. Medyo malaki, no. But again, this is before Christmas, so it's positioning, it's price positioning. Okay, and then yung mga pang-enhanced ng cooking 5 to 7%. Okay, this must be monosodium glutamate and all that stuff, no? But the rest are not non-essentials, no? There are items which have gone up 15%, but non-essentials, like I said, no? Some are lotion, some are insecticide, batteries, no? Again, up to 15%. Not everything went up 15%. That's alarming, okay? So, adjustments lang yan. These are price adjustments.
Okay, so generally, sir, you're saying that most goods have become more expensive if we take a year-on-year look at it. Sir, what about the basic necessities here? The DTI has now allowed increases as high as 2 pesos and 25 centavos under this new suggested retail price list. How is this calculated, and what makes supermarkets think that this is a necessary increase, especially during such difficult times for consumer spending?
It is very difficult right now, no? Especially, it's a challenge for manufacturers, no, to want to increase prices, no. Mahina ang benta. You want to, make bawi, no, for this coming Christmas season, elections, around the corner. So people are thinking, should we increase prices and lose some market share, or should we just, stay put with our prices and hope to garner more market share from our competitors, no? Wala pang nagtataas sa mga, well, kung meron man nagtaas, could be July, that period, August, no? Pero this September and October, wala pang nagtaas na Noche Buena items, no? No milk, no coffee, no pasta, no ham, no tomato sauce. So walang nag-increase for this past 2 months, no. Again, will it increase? We don't know. There's still November, no. November's a lean month, but again, people want to, like I said, get the most of market share. So I don't know if manufacturers want to do that. So I don't know if they'll, adjust accordingly. As to gas price increases, fuel price increases, that's delivery cost affected, no. And that'll go markets, wet market prices will probably be adjusted, but not supermarket items. So it's too soon. Unless, like I said, it's a management decision which they think, hey, it's about time. 8 weeks of uh, fuel price increases, as well as other costs which have gone up. Now maybe it's time to increase prices. But again, it's a management decision. So it's not immediate na because of 8 weeks of fuel price increases, kaagad may increase in supermarket grocery items.
Okay, so there's still a lag, so there's still actually risks on the higher end of prices to be increasing if we do pass this on. Sir, you mentioned that the Noche Buena items at least have not yet gone up, but historically, when you look at the spending patterns of consumers, of course we know that this happens towards the end of the year. How have people started buying these Noche Buena items in anticipation of price increases, and normally when do these price increases come into effect?
No, that even candles are not selling that well yet, no? Kasi undas
Talaga?
yung una pa yung candles, di ba? Oo. And biscuits, no? Big biscuit cans, because people don't know whether they're going back to their provinces or not. They don't know whether they're allowed to travel. They don't know whether they will travel. They don't know what's gonna happen, in a week or so, no? So, very iffy, no? When it comes to people buying already and stocking up for Christmas, I think that's very, very small portion of our shoppers doing that right now. No, there's no fear of lack of supply. That's one thing. So there's no hurry. And if you're saying that they're afraid that prices might go up, so they better stock up now. Very few think that way. Very few think that way so far. So there's no. Mm,
Maybe they should
there's
start thinking that way, knowing that this is going to happen. Sir, you mentioned po about the oil prices. Are there specific goods and services that get affected right away compared to others? Because whenever you look at oil prices, will it really be the fresh produce or imported goods, things like that?
Yes, you're right. Fresh produce, breads. No, these have to be delivered 2 times, 3 times a week. No, you can't do that once a month. No, so these are those that are immediately affected, and also the markets. No, like I said, the retail markets. Like say palengke, the wet markets, the public markets. No, immediate yan. Kasi pag nagtaas ang gasolina kahapon, today when you deliver, mas mataas na yung cost of delivery mo, di ba? The riders, I don't know. Those the couriers, I don't know how they are going to be affected by this also. No, pero yun na nga. These are the immediate effects of fuel price increases now, as well as of course consumer. No, when you travel, yeah, and of course the transport, public transport. No? Mm.
Okay. Sir, does your association coordinate or stay within the targets of the Bangko Central when it comes to inflation whenever you consider management decisions on pricing?
Well, competition keeps everyone in check. Okay, especially now, very challenged, no, ang business, no. So nobody wants to increase prices unless highly necessary or it's a matter of survival, no. But wala nang demand, di ba? So it's not a smart decision to increase your margins right now. Yeah.
Sir, and final question, sir. You mentioned the demand side. How is the foot traffic in supermarkets right now that Metro Manila is under alert level 3? Are you seeing a market, improvement, or have the trends completely changed and become really in terms of delivery platforms na has that become a much bigger chunk even if the economy is reopening, or are you seeing foot traffic increases?
For the younger group, they buy online, so that's no problem. For the more senior members of society, may tinamaan sa pamilya, that's when they're forced to go online and start buying online, no? It's funny, but that's the case. Foot traffic, there is an improvement, no? Both in terms of the supermarkets and the malls, I noticed, no? Although hindi pa rin as as we would like it to be, as retailers would like it to be. No?
So do we
Medyo
have a
takot pa rin
amount po of foot traffic that we're seeing now compared to pre-pandemic? Percentage
Oh,
amount of, compared to pre-pandemic levels? Where are we at
I'd
now?
still around 35-40%. You know,
Okay.
far off, very far off from what it used to be. I mean, you can remember the lines, the queues, the parking lot, the problems in parking. You know, you don't have that now. Some of them have closed down half of their parking spaces. No, so you can see. You know, some supermarkets have closed down 2/3 of their cash count, their cash register counters. No, and some have even closed down more. Yes, up to now. Yes, yes. In fact, last Christmas there were some stores which have really, deducted or binawasan ang kanilang mga checkout counters. No? So you can see the lack in demand and
Sir, but
it's challenging.
35% compared po to the revenue levels, how much percent of revenue levels are supermarkets now compared to pre-pandemic? As you mentioned po, there are other channels na ngayon, baka it's being compensated by the deliveries.
Well, it's a bit difficult to answer and to gauge right now, but I'd say supermarkets in general, okay, because there are the big chains which are doing well, and some are doing well, some are not, okay, and the small SMEs now in the retail business, the food retail business, I'd say some have dropped as much as 40%, yes, and some ano lang, single digit lang ang drop, pero yung iba malaki ang drop and has not recovered since kahit na with online selling.
Okay, thank you so much. Those are very, very interesting insights. As you mentioned, sir, nobody wants to increase the prices. Everyone's just trying to survive, hoping, of course, for more foot traffic and also higher consumption power to be able to offset this increase in prices. Thank you so much, Stephen Kua, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association.
My pleasure, then.
And that's a first look into the business day. Today is Tuesday, October 19, 2021. Catch Business World live for the market close. It's at 3:15 p.m. today. I'm Danie Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.